Okay, parents, I want to give you an insight and to give you hope. Your kids are stuck. And as the parent, are trying to find them the right tutoring, you're trying to work with your teachers and everything. And I want to give you a little insight because I just learned something. I was trying to learn an overwhelming script. And I always struggled with sales presentations, sales talks, getting on the phone with people, because I felt like I couldn't be in the moment. And as a result, I felt I'm being fake. I'm not really resonating with what I am trying to say, what they're trying to say to me. And with these questions, they seem really canned and just fake. And what I've learned was when I learned and committed to memory the flow chart and took the time to memorize the major stages of this, what they call the 6-stage sales process. Because, by the way, that's trying to teach you to be more human and really walk with people through a journey of what you're trying to help them with. But anyway, that's not the point of this recording. The point of the recording is I had to learn these stages, and once I did, it took me about, 15 minutes in the car. What these major stages were, never mind the actual script, because the script is not important, all those hundreds of little steps, not those, the major steps. Once I had it in my mind, I found that when I went to the very first stage, which is, by the way, opening questions, things like, hello? Hey, today we're going to ask ourselves a couple of questions back and forth, and if you like what you hear, we'll review some options and tools. All right, so that's what that part of the sales process for me looks like, right? But here's the difference. When I learned those major steps in the whole entire process from A to Z, there's only like 8 of them, actually 6. I found that once I engaged with that first step, I felt so much more relaxed. I wasn't thinking ahead of myself like, oh gee, what do I say next? What stage am I in? Are they really buying into what I'm saying and all that? No, I could just relax. I could focus. Think about your students. Think about the process of writing. By the way, the writing process is 6 stages. 6 steps in the writing process. Now, some people can say there's 7. Some people might say there's 5. That's not the point. There are steps in the writing process. And once your child knows what those steps are, where they are in that process, and just like the writing process, anything, whether it's improving our reading, the way we listen, the way we speak, the way we engage with timed testing, the way that we send a rocket to the moon, the way that we drive in LA and go to our doctor's appointment like I'm doing now. All of that, if we break it down by first backing up and reviewing what the steps are, then we zoom back into those specific areas that give us trouble, and then now we save our bandwidth, we save our energy. And I've seen this with students time and time again. This is how I'm able to build confidence in students, is that as an expert teacher, as a published author, as a veteran tutor. And by the way, my students are the most successful in the district. I'm able to know what are the specific steps in a given process, whether it's reading, writing, listening, speaking, so that the students quickly build confidence. And once they build that confidence, because I gave them the gift of the big picture, and I gave them the assurance that I know what I'm doing, I'm an expert, I know the process, and I know that we don't have to focus on the 5 other steps, we can focus here. And I will take you as your loyal guide, as your teacher, as your tutor, dear student, I will take you through these steps. And when they see that, they see the expertise and they see the empathy and the caring that you're taking the time to break it down for them. You're taking the time to build their self-confidence. They love you for it, and they relax, and then they build that confidence, and then they're willing to go for the long game, which is, I'm going to engage. And that, my friends, is how you build motivation in students. All right, so in the description of this video is the contact information, and I have a really simple process. Speaking of breaking things down, you and I will talk for a couple minutes on the phone. I'll ask you what the grades of your child are, what grade that your child is in. I'm not going to delve deep into the problems, the goals, all of that, because that's trying to put too much. Just a quick conversation, back and forth, and then we set up a strategy success session. That's where you can tell me deeper about the issues your child is facing, and I can show you the path forward. I can show you that path. I can give you a written roadmap in that session, or right following that session, and I'll give you tools. And if you like what you hear, then at that point we can go over options. I may or may not recommend tutoring. Tutoring is not for everyone, and it may not even be a good fit. It may just be a few quick fixes that your student needs. Send them to the expert, send them to the specialist. All right? Take care, and feel free to reach out. By the way, I'm a fully credentialed teacher with the county, so fingerprinting, Department of Justice, FBI, background checks, all of that, fine, perfect. You can look up my teaching credential online. It's a clear teaching credential in the state of California for teaching English. I've passed all 4 of the CSETs, which very few teachers have passed. I passed them all in one day. And so I use the same strategies that I teach students, how to be better test takers, better essay writers, better thinkers, better planners, breaking things down, folks. That's what it's all about. That's what our kids need. They're overwhelmed. Break it down for them. I can help you do that.